Greetings, citizens from Rolling Hills, the Bluegrass. Long time no see, or hear. When I was young, way back when, in the 90s, I loved movies. Couldn't get enough of them. Loved renting them. Got in trouble because I would hide the tapes. And my parents would have to pay late fees. Got in trouble. And in one instance, the late fees were so high that they just outright bought the movie. I was a terrible kid. I'm sorry. My apologies. But I loved movies. So whenever you go to YouTube and you see these shows where people review movies, it's excellent. I love to sit there. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Or I don't really consume movies anymore because, as I think I've explained, the last time I went to a movie theater and I watched them put a DVD in the disc player of the movie theater instead of actually getting out reels of tape, I realized we're paying $14, $15 to watch a DVD that in 6-7 months time we can pay $14 or $15 to buy on DVD. So going to the movie theater has been something that I just have absolutely no interest in doing. And the current situation with the C-19 issue that's going on has made other people realize this too. Why go to the movie theaters? Well, it's the experience. It's the ambiance. It's the experience. Well, I much rather prefer to save money, to be honest. And I know that puts a pinch on everyone down the line, but that is the progress of technology. And it allows for things to happen faster, more accurately, hopefully. It can get it out to the consumer, and you don't want to quote the one misfit, the one terrible person because of the things that he did, but there's one Hollywood actor who saw it coming and warned everybody. But there's something that we don't realize, is that a lot of this stuff that's been going on now in the culture war, out there in the woke lands, has of course been going on for a while in academia, in the college setting, but it's also been happening in the culture, and we don't realize it because it's happened in little bitty drips and drabs over the years. A little joke, a little punchline, a little observation, something that has not really been focused on. It was almost an afterthought once you're done. But if you start really dissecting some of these old movies, you can see it in there. It's there in its Technicolor fashion. And it's kind of impressive, and I'll draw the point to this. The Ghost in the Darkness. The movie Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Kirk Douglas, right? Now, if you've heard some of my videos, you've heard me use the term the tall grass. Well, where does that come from? It comes from this movie. Because at the beginning, and I'm going to ruin this movie by ruining the movie for you, and I'm sorry about that. No spoiler alerts, but I'm going to do my best to explain it. But throughout this movie, you see just glimpses. And for those who don't know what it is, it's about lions, specifically man-eating lions in the 1800s in Africa. Because, of course, that's where lions are. But every once in a while throughout the movie, the lions are never really shown. You just get glimpses. You get just hints, ideas that the lions are out there and they're in the tall grass. They're the unseen danger. You can hear them. You know they're out there and about, but you cannot see them. So you don't know where they're going to come from. And again, you'll see little glimpses here and there of them. But later on in the movie, there's an exchange between one of the workmen, the foreman of one of the many groups. And the whole movie, up to this point, there's been a couple of scenes where Samuel, he's one of the characters. And for those of you who know Black Panther, he plays the king that is replaced, that dies in the assassination. Right there at the beginning of the movie, that then puts Black Panther on his course to being the ruler, which sets up that whole movie's plot. That man is explaining to Val Kilmer's character how all of these different people have come together and all of their issues of working together, of different religions, different cultures, and trying to get them all to work together is very, very difficult. So he, as the foreman of the whole camp, and this camp is there to build a railway through this area to cross this river. And it's his job to keep all of these people together without fighting and working together. And Val Kilmer's character is brought in to build the bridge. Now again, this is a historical event, but of course it's fictitious in how everything plays out because it's a movie, and a movie has to happen. So we understand that. So the foreman explains all the issues with the camp. Here's the issue with the bridge. And then a lion attack happens. And Val Kilmer's character takes out a lion. Now we're not going to go any more detail. But later on down the road, another attack happens. And Val Kilmer's character comes in and explains, I'm going to get rid of this one. We'll find it out. We'll fix it. He will sort it out. And everything will be fine. And the foreman, not the Samuel character, but the other foreman, states, of course you will. Val Kilmer's character turns around to leave, assuming everyone is in agreement that he's going to do these things. And everything can get back on schedule. They can build the bridge and go home, get paid. And the second foreman goes, of course you can, because you're white. And the camera snaps to Val Kilmer's character, and he turns around, and his expression is perfect, because it's like, we're here to do a job. What does that have to do with anything? And that's a very good question. What does that have to do with anything? It's kind of out of nowhere, isn't it? Like in the grand scheme of this whole movie up until this point, they've been trying to make Val Kilmer out as fairly normal. He has a great knowledge and a thirst for the history of Africa, its wildlife. He's a bridge builder in the 1800s, so he's a fairly intelligent fellow. But for the most part, he seems fairly down to earth. And then this charge is issued at him. Very curious, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it almost plays like humor in a way. Because it's one of those, oh no, he said that kind of a thing. It's like, you know, why? Why is it in there? It's funny. But now we fast forward to this time, and you're sitting on the couch with the mindset of the things that are going on now, and you watch that line be delivered, and you go, that was a choice. That was a conscious choice made by a screenwriter. The screenplay at that point in time had this line specifically put into it. And you'd almost have to ask them, why was it put in? Now, time being time, they may have forgotten it, why they put it in there. But it's very specific. And historically, it puts itself in a position because Africa at this time, late 1800s, you're talking about colonial Africa. Africa has been carved up by the European powers. There are very few free countries, free people that are not under European rule in Africa. We understand the history. And then on top of that, you have the white savior narrative going on. And not only do you have one white savior in Val Kilmer's character, you also have a second white savior going on in Kirk Douglas's character. He's actually the white savior that comes in to save the first one. So it's a double hit. Boom, boom. But it also parallels how the lions act throughout the rest of the movie. There's parallels there. And it's interesting. And it's only interesting because of the now that's happening. And you go, well, what does this have to do with anything? And what it has to do is alongside of the social justice stuff, right? The critical race theory, the critical legal studies, all of those critical studies inside of this is the post-colonial theory. And it'll probably be one of the next big things that gets talked about. But it's one of those things. And then you start seeing it in other movies. And you start understanding. That's the reason why, if any of you were kind of confused about Black Panther and the term colonizer being used all over the place and being used directly at white people, this is why. This is the time period. And that time period honestly ended not that long ago. So you can understand in certain issues why people still have it on the mind. But these are American actors. Right? These are American screenwriters. So there's layers of purpose to all of this. And everything is political. There is nothing that is not political anymore. I know many of you hate the idea. God, I hate it too. It's how it is. This is the direction we are going. We are in a cultural shift. Whether or not you like it, it does not matter. It is occurring. You can sit out of it, but the consequences of that are yours. And you will have to deal with them. And that, quite honestly, is something that many are not ready for. Because in their minds, if they're not inside of the woke sphere, or they're outside in the, I guess you would call it anti-woke, or anti-progressive, but it's not even really anti-progressive, but it is, just outside looking in, seeing what is going on, there are millions of people who are going to get caught off guard by this. And they are going to get on the train, or they're not going to get on the train. And that's a direct, I guess, funny haha parallel to the movie. Because it's all about building a bridge to move a train across Africa. So what's my point? Why am I getting into this? It's because, again, this has been going on for a long time. Duh. We knew that. We get it. We're the choir. We're watching the tweets. We're watching the podcast. We understand that this has been going on for a long time. Why are you telling us this? It's a good question. Because much more learned people are talking about this. And I'm just a man with a microphone. But I also, maybe I pay attention a little bit more in certain directions. And it's going to come down to this. Do you believe in humanity? Free humanity of all shades. Living in peace together. Do you believe that? Do you want that? Because I think that's what the woke want too, but they want it through a different path. And that path requires the dismantling of everything that's around you. And there's an issue right now inside of the Libertarian Party where you have anarchists. And I don't have a problem with anarchists, but I have problems with anarchists who will destroy anything just for the fact they're the Joker to keep the movie motif going. They just want to see it burn. And I'm sorry, but in the process of you seeing things burn, people are going to die. This is not anything this is not a video game. This is real. And what's crazy is that some of them 100% are okay with that. And I want you to anarchists to really think about that. Are you really okay with things going in that direction? Because it'll go in that direction and it will not be pretty. This will be done in the streets, in your homes, in the hallways of your apartment complexes. This will not be out in the field, you and me and our posse against them and their posse. This is not going to be done that way. Those people will be playing their part, but this is not going to be easy. And to willingly ask for it, to search for it, to want it, to see the willingness to defend yourself is fine. I am 100% with that, and we should defend ourselves. But the willing going out and wanting to start it, that's a level of madness that I cannot understand. And seeing Afghanistan play the way it is right now, how the Taliban is taking back everything that's been won, air quotes, in the last 20 years of a no-win war that we shouldn't have been in, and the Taliban are taking it back inside of a month. Inside of half a year, Taliban will more than likely be back in complete control of Afghanistan. And all of those people lost on both sides. And you all want to bring that here. And I'll be honest, it's a bunch of young men with a savior complex. We don't need saving. We need you to be ready to defend. But the bravado of youth is what led to a lot of atrocities in life. Humanity has known many. And it has been led by the young who thought it would be cool to go play soldier, when instead they should have been building a bridge and trying to connect people. Defend yourself. Be prepared to defend yourself. But this going out and looking for a fight, this is not honor. This is not honor.